I was a little reluctant to do this video at first. I was going to change my shirt, but I felt the urge to go on and do this anyway because this is something that weighs on me a little bit to some degree, and that is the subject of black women being queens. I said it, queens. Are black women queens? What in the world does that mean, queen? I know it has something to do with royalty. Do you, black women that are watching me right now, consider yourselves queens? Now, before you answer, if you haven't already answered, why? Why do you consider yourself a queen? Okay, this is for the guys and for the gals out there that's listening to me, watching me right now. Now, as I said, typically when you hear the term queen or even king, we're talking about royalty, someone who sits in a high place of prominence and prestige and honor in the community and even within your home. That's a king and a queen. But I've seen guys on videos say, I'm talking to the queens, all my queens out there. And I've seen black women on videos talking about, okay, my queens, yes, queen. They have YouTube channels and various other types of channels on the internet and platforms that they use to espouse feminine power and so forth. I'm down with that. That's good. Keep it in perspective. Be straightforward. Keep it 100. Okay? At least. You know, I believe that we use that expression queens so loosely, and we try to paint this broad stroke with the paintbrush, metaphorically speaking, about all black women being queens of royalty, of a royal status, when that's so not true. There is a significant amount of black women that are disgraceful. Were you offended at what I said? Let me tell you this first of all. I'm not bashing black women. This is another subject coming from me, right? And it's the truth. I hope you don't mind me telling you the truth because it is what it is. Now, if you don't like what I'm saying, feel free to turn me off and go somewhere else. Watch World Hip Hop or something like that. World Star. This kind of stuff. Watch some reality TV shows, some nonsense, some smut. Go watch that crap. Listen to your brother. Listen to a man who has perspective, because I have been with and dated and married black women throughout my life. I think I'm an authority on this subject on some level. I don't need a doctorate. I don't need a certificate on the wall to tell you about people who I have experienced. Even in business, I know black women. They're not all queens. As much as you want to call them queens, feel free. Continue to call black women queens. And some of you black women out there that are watching me right now, call yourself a queen. If you actually are a queen, then so be it. But let somebody else praise you. Stop walking talking, I'm a queen. If you need all of that extra attention to yourself and those accolades, maybe you have an insecurity issue. You don't need to say you're a queen if that's what you are. People will see that you are and let them call you a queen. Even if you're not deserving of the title queen, let them call you a queen. But if you are a black woman, and I don't subscribe to African American, that term, and I don't subscribe to black people per se, that term, because there's no such thing as the country of black. Where do black people come from? You know, these are stereotypes. These are slavery terms. Okay? That African American. I couldn't tell you to save my soul what tribe I came from. I'm not an African American. I couldn't tell you what country I came from other than here in America. I was born here in America. I am an American that happens to be a person of color in America. If you want to look at it as that, that's what I will accept. But I don't have any ancestors in Africa that I know of. And 99.9% of all of the black people that I have ever known don't know what their tribe is. And they're walking around wearing the African colors and kentes and all of these things on their heads, and the necklaces and bracelets and the shirts with maps of Africa. And if you ask any of them about Africa, a lot of them still think it's a country when it's a continent composed of over 50 countries. Not just that one. So anyway, getting back to the queen. If there's a black woman, I will use the term black and African American in this video for the sake of argument, because most of us are familiar with those terms. That's how we were brought up, calling one another African Americans and blacks and so forth. So, black women that sleep around from one man to the next man to the next man to the next man to the next man is not a queen. She's not. Black women who are married or who are in a committed relationship who cheat on her man or her husband, she's not a queen. She's not. Impossible for her to be. If anything, she is a slut. She is a whore. As degrading as those terms are that I just made, I am so sorry. But it's the truth. I'm not attacking anyone. I didn't say anyone's name. I'm speaking in generality. But that's what she is. Now, I can talk about other ethnic groups as well, but I'm talking about black women right now. She's a slut and a whore. And there's the definition of those terms. And I'm not going to take the time out of my schedule and your schedule or your time and show you the definitions. But you know what it is. You know what a slut and a whore is. It's someone who sleeps around when they're supposed to be committed to somebody else, especially a black woman who lives with her husband or her man, who has children, who's always coming in the house all times of night, not letting her spouse know where she's at, and feels like she doesn't have to answer to him. And she pops up and she's always on her cell phone, having these secret conversations with co-workers and things of this sort. Those types of women are not queens. I'm not saying that a woman has to be a slave to a man. Mind you, I'm not. But she has to have consideration towards her mate in the home. Now, I'll target or talk about our black men later, but in this particular video, I'm talking about the black woman. Black women who are always having shouting matches with their man or their husband, that's not a queen. You're supposed to respect the man in your home, even if you don't agree with anything that he says, and you don't agree with anything that he does, as long as he's not putting his hands on you, as long as he's not demeaning you, degrading you, and talking down to you, and calling you bitches and whores and all these other things that a lot of black women are accustomed to being called in some dysfunctional situations. As long as he's not doing that to you, and that he's trying to be helpful to you, he's trying to be productive in the home as much as he possibly can towards you, you don't talk to him crazy. You don't talk to him off the cuff. You don't curse your man or your husband out in front of your children. But guess what? When your children see that, they're thinking it's okay to do that. And when they leave their homes, guess what they have taken with them? What they've seen mother and father do in the home. So if you disrespect the man in the house, if you have daughters, those daughters are going to disrespect every man they come in contact with, to include their possible future boyfriend or husband. So mama has taught her well not what she's done was planted a seed in that young daughter to get out there in the street and be just like her, a carbon copy of her. She's not a queen, and neither will her daughter be a queen. Who can find a virtuous woman? The scripture asks. Her price is far above that of rubies. Are there virtuous women out here? There are. Are there women who can become virtuous? There are. But you got to want to. You have to want to be virtuous. You have to understand who you are and what you're supposed to be in your relationship as it relates to your husband or your man inside your home. But doing anything that you want, saying anything that you want, wearing clothing so revealing that you're trying to attract the attention of other men, wearing low cut tops, your belly hanging out with some of the things that you wear, this new modern type of clothing, these torn jeans and in the crouch and in the legs and so forth, and your pants hanging off of you and all you see is your panties coming out, and wearing sheer clothing where you can see your panty color and your designs on your panties and so forth. You're not a queen. You're not a queen. If when you walk out the door of your home, the majority of men on the street that see you driving by or walking by have to turn and jeer at you, you're not a woman that's considered a queen. You're not a queen. You're something else. I'm sorry. A lot of you are going to disagree and have already disagreed with me. It's okay. You can do that. You have a right to do that. That's your prerogative. But I'm going to tell it like it is. A woman who would talk down on her man to other people, to include family members, behind his back, and he doesn't know anything about it, but he hears it through the grapevine later on that you've said XYZ about him, and you said he was good for nothing, and you talk about your bedroom life and all these other things to other people. You haven't grown up. You have a little bit of intelligence. You have much to be desired, and you are not a queen. So what is a queen? I'm glad you asked. A queen is the opposite of every negative thing that I just said about the black woman. It's the opposite. A queen is a woman, and only she can be defined as a queen from her man. Because if you are a woman who's single, how in the heck could you be a queen? Where's the king at? So he's the one who would dub you as being a queen or his queen. But if you by yourself, all you are is a single, bitter, complaining black woman. Because if you was truly a queen, you would have a man. And you would have a man because you measured up to queen status. In most instances, some people are just in convenient situations, convenient relationships based on economics and whatever. But it doesn't make you a queen just because you're walking alongside some guy just to say that you got a guy at home. That doesn't make you a queen. What makes you a queen is your standards or lack thereof. What makes you a queen is self-respect. It is the integrity that you have. It is the dignity that you have for yourself. It is providing the proper guidance to your children, teaching your children how to respect other people by you being the first example of that. Children don't follow what you say. They follow what you do. And if what you do is less than acceptable, they're going to follow that too, but it doesn't make you a queen. You must lead by proper example, not just simply example. There can be bad examples as well as good. You want to lead by good example in front of your community, in front of your husband, in front of your children. Good example. That's one of the things that's going to put you on that status as being a queen. But he's going to see you as his queen. No other man can say, oh, that's a queen. You don't know that. You don't live with that woman. Because that queen status is within the confines of her home and her home structure. You can call a black woman queen all you want to, but what is she representing? As I said before, if she steps out of her house, out of her car, she's wearing pajamas, going to Walmart, she's wearing tight spandex clothes and you can see her panties, or she doesn't have panties on and they're sheer, that's not a queen. That's a slut. That's someone who would succumb to anybody that threw some money at them. Anybody that told them that they was pretty and cute and had hazel eyes or had green eye, pretty eyes and so forth. That's what that is. So guys, while you're out there calling these women queens, and ladies, while you're out there calling these women queens, they may be your relatives, they may be your girlfriends, they may be whomever. While you're calling these women queens, make sure that they meet the requirements of a queen. Are they respectful? Do they have any integrity? Are they decent? How do they dress? How do they talk? Where are the places that they convene? Where do you find them? Are they in bars all of the time, the nightlife, getting high, getting drunk, hanging around the wrong crowds of people, hanging around cackling hens or women who are talking about other people in a negative, malicious way? Do they want to get in fights all of the time with other women because of how they look and men issues and things of this sort? Are they women who keep a good home, who provide for their children? I'm not talking about buying food. I'm not talking about having a roof over your children's home if you are a single parent. I'm talking about a woman who holds it down with some principles, who holds it down, who has some guidelines about life, who don't allow their children to get on the internet and just roam as they please, who use parental controls, who monitor what their children do, who monitor what their children say, who monitor where their children go, whose homes they go and visit, the things that's going on in those other homes. I'm talking about these women. Do they have these values? Don't call them queens if they don't measure up. It's not my standards. It's not your standards. It's the standards that's very common to all men. That's good and bad. That's right and wrong. That is upright, and then the opposite of that is deplorable. Something that should be held in disdain. What are they representing? Before you start calling someone something that's prestigious and something that's honorable, you better make sure they're honorable. It might hurt your feelings, what I'm saying, if this is someone that you know and you call her a queen or you call them queens. You might want to attack me and say, oh, he's talking about black folks and he's coming down on his own kind. No, I'm not. I say this about anybody. But this particular subject is about black women being called queens who are not deserving of that title, queen. Because if you are someone who always want to get with somebody else, you're not a queen. If you're someone who's walking around, excuse my expression, with your ass sticking out of your pants, or with your pants or your tights so tight we can see the vaginal crease in between your legs, you're not a queen. You're something else. Or if you are a woman who want to fight a man straight up like you're a man because you don't like what he said, or you want to spit on him and you want to key his car because he's left your relationship with you on bad terms and you don't like it and you don't want him to be happy on any level, you're not a queen. If you're a woman that wants to take your baby's daddy to court and have him locked up just because you're no longer a couple. You want to see him destroyed, his reputation destroyed, because you didn't get along with him. It takes two in a relationship, right? So sometimes we point the finger to one side, but we don't point about our own dirt that we do. Ladies, doesn't make you a queen. But if you can walk around and you don't have a problem when you're in public, and you can hold or embrace your man, give him a peck on the cheek or the lips, and he can give you a peck on the cheek or the lips, and you're not embarrassed that he's kissing you in public, because you really don't want other men to see that you're chosen or that you're in a relationship. You better step it up, queen, so-called queen. That was really it. So now, let's do some analytics. You do the assessment, ladies who heard me say what I had to say. Do you believe, if you're black, primarily, not that my white listeners or my Asian listeners or my Arabic listeners or anyone that's not from this particular ethnic group can't weigh in. I want everybody to weigh in that wants to weigh in. It's okay. This forum is for you. But if you women that are black think that you are a queen, and if you women that are black think that your friends or your relatives are queens that are women, do they measure up to the definition of what a queen really is? You got to stand for something. You know that? You have to stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything and everything. The okey doke. And you're going to be delusional. And you're going to think that you're something that you really are not. It only feels good. But internally, inward, you know what you are. This is Brother Teacher. Let me know what your feelings are about this particular title. And you don't have to chime in and say, well, I'm a queen. If you want to do that, that's fine. I don't condemn you. I don't have a place to put you heaven or hell. If you are a decent woman, look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. You know you. You know you. If you're a decent woman, then it stands without saying. It goes without saying what you are. Other people will see that and have seen that in you. But if you're someone who faking the funk, people see that as well. And you just walking around pretending. This is Brother Teacher. I'm out.